So, Terry, you were not at the nurses' conference, right? So we
Correct.
played two truths and a lie there. Do you think you can guess my truth or my lie?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Jeff, do you know this one? Was you in the room for it? I know you were in and out.
Yeah. Let me try to play, though, too.
Okay.
I don't remember for sure.
Okay. So here's my three, okay?
Okay.
As a child, my neighbor was the drummer on Billy Ray Cyrus's hit song, Achy Breaky Heart. As a child, my dad's job was to drive the Mr. Clean lookalike winner around the country doing promotional events. Therefore, I know the entire jingle to Mr. Clean. From kindergarten through my junior year in high school, I had perfect attendance. Which one is the lie?
I'm going to go with number 2.
Number two. So you don't believe that my dad drove the Mr. Clean lookalike around the country?
But I'm kind of worried now, though, because you shared before your dad was a bus driver, right? For the school?
Yeah, Dad is in his retirement a bus driver.
I can reveal that is not the correct
Oh,
answer.
man.
Is it right? Am I wrong?
Well,
No, because
It
he
would
comes
be-
from a family full of race car drivers and all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm serious.
I
it
didn't
would
know
be
that.
very weird if I did know that Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute. Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Okay, so it's not 2.
It's not
Nope,
two.
it's not.
Now, which
So-
one do you think of the other 2
Can
options?
you sing Achy Breaky Heart?
Oh, that's unrelated to the question.
No.
It's a good
Don't
challenge.
tell
though.
my heart, my achy breaky heart. But he's from Flatwoods, Kentucky, which is 2 minutes from my house. So
Oh, my Atlanta.
Mm.
I don't know why I don't want to say number 3, because for some reason you just strike me as that competition type. Like I am going to.
I show up.
I know.
You can say anything about old Aaron. He'll be there.
Okay. So maybe I changed I'm going to go with number 1.
Number one.
I'll change.
Well, it is number 3. Was my lie. Yeah, it was number 3. I did miss quite a bit of school. I don't know why. I wasn't sick. I didn't have a whole lot going on. My parents just weren't real strict on that. So yeah.
Did you ever fake sick to stay home
No.
from school? Never?
I was just
Did you?
always honest,
are you
and
kidding
they would
me?
let us stay home.
Yeah, I couldn't watch the show Chips as much as I did if I didn't. If I didn't fake sick.
I'll tell you what, I was a sucker for if there was a Michael Jordan game, Bulls game on WGN, and back then they would play some afternoon games.
They
Yeah.
did. They did.
You don't ever see NBA in the afternoon anymore, do you? On a weekday, I mean.
No.
I don't even think that exists, but it did, or at least I think so. I'm inventing this, but
Yeah.
if there was a Jordan game on, like
You were sick that
2:30,
day.
oh, it's amazing how my throat would get sore,
Oh boy.
headache, pounding.
Yeah.
I just can't go to school today. And then my dad would, I think he kind of knew what was up, and he'd be like, we'd watch the Bulls game together sometimes.
He would let you skip.
I don't know.
Well,
Maybe he just
Yeah.
was
Let
being-
you recover from your illness.
He wasn't all that nice. So, I mean, he was a pretty
But he was a Jordan fan.
right.
That's all that matters.
I don't know if he had an inkling if
Yeah.
I may or may not be faking sick or not. My mom watches this show a lot, so I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I sometimes maybe acted sicker than I really was.
I think it worked out. It's
It did.
fine. I mean, the reason why that would be a problem is if like life didn't turn out, you didn't graduate high school, you decided to do something else in life.
You know, the dishonest aspect I'm not proud of, but on the practical learning of the day, did I get more out of watching the greatest player of all time go out there and be hyper competitive and win, or what I would have learned how to spell like jukebox? You know, that's
It's a good. Yeah. Well, here's one for you. Here's a different one. This is Danielle's. Okay. Danielle nearly killed Price is Right host Bob Barker one time. She crashed her car into a state trooper's vehicle when he had pulled her over for speeding. When she was 18, she auditioned for and made the first round cut of American Idol by singing the song I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack.
And I am identifying the lie.
Yeah,
It's the third one.
it's the third one.
Yes. because I know she does not like to sing or get in front of people. I remember the Price is Right story she shared with me. So I remember that one.
Yep.
The Trooper one, that's really comical if
Yep.
it happened. I would go with 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Yep. She did not audition for American
Could you
Idol.
imagine if she had to go on that platform?
I know.
No.
I know. But boy, could my life have turned out different. You know, I could be Taylor Swift's husband. I see what I'm saying there is Danielle would be. Anyways, I guess, so yeah, she did crash into a state trooper's vehicle. She thought she put it in park, but she put it in reverse and then crashed into his car. He yelled at her. Rightfully so. She did crash into his car. And she did rush Bob Barker at around age 90 on a sidewalk in New York City and scare the poor man nearly to death. Yeah, I think she still has a warrant for arrest on that one. Well, hey, that was a long intro, but welcome into the studio.
Thank you for
Welcome,
having me.
Tara.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself. If they've hung in this long, they're dying to know who we've got in studio with us today. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do here at Village Caregiving.
I'm Tara Brady. I'm the executive director with Village Caregiving in the Canton, Ohio office.
Awesome. And who do you work with in the Canton office? Who's up there?
Right now, Lori Hoffmaster is our director of operations.
Yeah.
And starting Monday the 17th, we have a new nurse coming on, Driana.
Awesome. Cool. So how long have you been with Village?
I was actually just thinking that on my ride here. It's going to be 2 years in October.
2 years in
That's
October.
mind-boggling.
Has it been 2 years already?
It's
Wow.
went by so fast.
Yeah.
Like, you ever just, when you get up, like some jobs you dreaded going to, I've not yet felt that. Like every day I get up, no matter how many hours I put in, and I know in the beginning I shared with you, like I was putting mass crazy hours in, but I love it. I
Man,
love what I do. I love
that's
talking to people about it. And
We could stop right
yeah,
Yep.
Jeff's like, okay, done.
That's the biggest compliment that we could ever get. You really mean that?
I do.
You don't ever
It doesn't
dread going to work.
bother me even. I take work home every day, and it does not bother me.
Wow.
I take calls after hours with the clients. If somebody will, email and say something, I've learned to make my number anonymous when I call because I made that mistake a few times in the beginning. But I can call caregivers back and have conversations in the evenings with them for a half hour, whatever it needs to be to solve a problem, or even talking to clients or their families. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it's just me and the dogs at home. So
Yeah.
That's the exact right attitude to excel in this role. I've told that a lot of times to people. What's one piece of advice you would give me as I begin as a director? And I'm like, well, just your attitude towards those. Not every day is going to be great.
absolutely.
You got 2 ways to handle it. You get a call off 14 minutes before a shift starts. That's frustrating. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I've seen 2 different styles of this. It's the number one is very negative, like, oh, why does this always happen to me? Oh my God, I can't believe this happened again. I'm so fed up with blah, blah. And then you got to still fix it.
Yeah.
And I've seen people that are just like, no big deal. I got to knock this out in 5 minutes. They start texting. They both get the job done about 15 minutes later, but one person has been miserable for 15 minutes and the other one's just kind of smiled and been like, hey, no biggie. And that's hard. That's easier said than done, especially if you're already kind of having a bad day. But boy, can that be the key to the job.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's been days when we haven't been able to find the coverage, and I'll say to Lori, like, okay, rock, paper, scissors, who's going? And we go out, and I get so much enjoyment from being in the homes. And I know the one time I had with you, Aaron, was, well, I would rather you be in the office than go out, like you're going to get behind on work. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But the joy you get when you are in their homes talking to them, and I don't think I've ever shared. It was like my first month and a half in with the company. It was a couple days before Thanksgiving. One of our clients in Thornville, Ohio, which is actually Perry County, but we picked it up for the Columbus office. And she called, and her family was coming in. Her caregiver reported off all week. And she was just so upset. She needed a bath and this. And I said, I'm coming to see you tomorrow. And at that time, I was on my own. So I drove from Canton to Thornville, which was about 2 hours.
Wow.
And I got there, and she just said, oh, honey, I just want you to vacuum my floor.
Oh, man.
I do my bath myself. I was like, okay. So I vacuumed and sat and conversed with her for a little bit. And to this day, anytime somebody calls her, she'll say, "Do you know the ED came to my home and vacuumed?" Like
Wow.
she's just like it's
Yeah.
amazing, yeah. And so it's little things like that.
May I ask that, positive spirit we're talking about and rolling with the punches and staying up instead of letting yourself go. Is that something that you've had to work at and do a lot of self-reflection and, mental recalibration exercises, or are you just kind of naturally born that way and that's who you are? I'm curious.
Kind of a little bit of both. I know, like, when there's hard times that have fallen in different aspects of my life, whether it's professional or personal, that you kind of reflect back, like, am I the cause of it? I know we had some change in our office, and I had a conversation with you, Aaron. Actually, like, I was like, am I doing something wrong? So I kind of try to self-reflect and what can I do to change it to make things better. But I think the overall trying to keep that positive attitude came a few years ago when my dad was in his accident, and he was left disabled for the rest of his life. And it just kind of made me like grateful for every day that you wake up and that you're still able to do the simple things that you do. My dad was a very active person, loved to hunt and fish, and he no longer can pull back a bow and arrow, and it's impacted his day to day, and he struggled mentally with everything that was going on. And it was just kind of like being there for him, keeping that spirit up. And it's like, you can go into a room and when it's that negativity, you feel it.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to drag you down. And so, you try to keep positivity. If I know in the office that it's kind of been like, I use the word sluggish a lot, like a sluggish week, like we really got hit hard with multiple things over and over. It may come Friday and I'll say to Lori, you know what, let's go. At 1:00, you and I are going to go have lunch, my treat, and then we're going to call it a day. It's been a week. And it's just amazing, that little difference, getting out of the office, having lunch, talking, laughing about what was really hard the week and getting it all off your mind so then you can enjoy your weekend. I would rather take, I guess, stuff off someone's mind that they're worrying about and carry that load instead of them, if that makes sense.
Well, what a beautiful answer. I mean, for just everything in life.
Yeah.
And it really peek into what makes you a beautiful person too. I mean, to want to shoulder that kind of load instead of somebody else having to carry it, that's about as good as it gets.
What's fascinating with Tara's is not that she always has a positive outlook on it, but it's not, you meet people that are like super positive and they just can't even see, like, this thing sucks. Like, this is like, that tire is flat. That car is broken, whatever the thing is, it's like, they're like, oh no, this is great. And you're like, well, it's not. Like, this does suck. But where she has a very realistic attitude, like, yeah, this thing is messed up, or this is a problem, but we can deal with this. And like, she's not blind to the fact that things are hard, that things aren't going great. And sometimes you meet people that don't have that kind of alignment, but that's been one of the coolest parts about working with you, because Canton was a different situation, right? We had relocated that office, and it was, we moved to a different city. The office kind of went through a rebirth during that period. All around it was change as well. The Cleveland market was changing. The Columbus market was changing. And you came in a very different environment than what you were used to. Your background, and I think why originally everyone was so excited about having you on the team, was your community connections to the Canton market and to the greater Canton area. What is your background in? If we have folks that are listening to this that are wanting to come as an executive director that doesn't have a medical background, right? What did you come from? What's been your story?
Social services. So I actually years ago started out when I first graduated high school in the nursing field. I had went to get my LPN and was working for Carroll County visiting nurses at the time, and being in the homes and seeing the flip side of things. You have clients that you're taking care of that can't afford medication, and they're struggling with, I'm behind on my bill because I had to buy groceries. So kind of seeing both sides of it there kind of drove me more into the social service side. I went back to school, got my degree in social services, worked for a few nonprofits along the way. And I think it's just that diversity
Yeah.
that you see when you kind of have to keep your eyes wide open. And I always say, you never know what's going behind closed doors with someone's personal life. They may be having a hard day. They're not mad at you. They're mad at the situation they're in. Unfortunately, you may be the one that they lash out
Right.
at. And I always say, to Lori, we talk about a lot in the office, did not take anything personal. Give them a little bow, maybe call them back the next day.
Yeah.
And if we're wrong, we're apologizing. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to apologize to you because they feel bad and they're frustrated. So I think being in that social service background has kind of opened the door for that. When I was in social services, I focused on the homeless and reentry.
Yeah.
For individuals incarcerated, I went down to a lot of the prisons and met with individuals.
That's where I met Jeff.
I figured.
Yep.
I was his lawyer.
Yeah. He got me out.
True.
So it's good times. Good times, though. We got that resolved. Just continue.
Yeah. Just roll with it after that one. So I think the social services is just kind of seeing everyone at different aspects of their life. So we could have assisted someone who was homeless or reentry coming back into the population, or it could be a family that was simply down on their luck that maybe one of the individuals in the home had lost their job and they needed rental assistance or they needed to visit a food pantry, which I think is great because now having those resources and knowing the ins and outs of them. So
Yeah.
when a caregiver calls in that sees there's a struggle with a certain client in the home, we can, link them to that resource in
Sure.
the community or reach out to the caseworker to find out if it's not a county that we're really familiar with the items.
We have all kinds of folks that join the organization, and some of them in the cities that we're in. And Canton reminds me of most cities that our offices are in, right? It has its story, it has its background, it has what it's known for, it has its struggles or its plights. But you're one of the executive directors that when we visit your city, like you can tell it's your city. You love Canton,
Mm-hmm.
you love the area, you very familiar with the people there. Is there a benefit to you to be in the position that you're in, to be able to take care of folks within that area? Like, is that something that led you to the job or that brings you joy, or are you kind of neutral to that?
I would say it probably led me to it.
Yeah.
I love people. And I'm like, I could talk all day to individuals. I know like when we go out and do different resource fairs or if we get invited to do a speaking engagement, Lori will be like, did you prepare your speech? I don't. I wing it. Because I'm like, if you're prepared and you're reading off a script, like sometimes I don't feel like it's genuine. But I always like when I go to start, if I might be leaving in 10 minutes to go to this thing, I'll pull 3 interesting facts from usually a VA website or something, and it'll pertain to that county that I'm speaking in. It'll be like the number of veterans, how much money is left on the table, or different things. And I kind of will take like, a little gift. It could be a gift card, and that's how I grab the audience's attention by doing that. And then they're kind of just in awe. And then kind of just go into who we are, what we do, why we do what we do. And I could talk all day
Yeah.
about village caregiving and the
Talk a
difference
little bit
we
about
make.
the nonprofit that you guys are working with that does the equine therapy.
Okay, so that is the Family America. They just changed their name. So they were previously known as Pegasus Farms, and now they're the Family Military Center and First Responders. So they've included like firemen, policemen, et cetera.
absolutely.
So we had partnered with them and volunteered on a Saturday a few months back and went and did some cleaning, some different things to help them out. It was basically to help them and help us as well for
Yeah.
a team building. And then we enjoyed lunch afterwards, and we were invited back. We are going back on the 15th. It's on a Saturday coming up, and we're going to spend the day in the arena, actually, because she
wow.
was like, make sure you don't wear white shoes. And we're going to do a resource fair. So we are going to be one of the guest speakers that are going to be highlighted that day to be able to share what we do and those that we impact. And I'm actually working with her right now because she just reached out like, could you donate hot dogs? And I was like, as long as I don't have to cook them. So, but it's, building those relationships because just of reaching out to her one time, seeing an ad that she needed some volunteers. And now, we've been invited to be part of their group. I actually just reached out last week to one of our senior centers in Canal Fulton. It's about a half hour from Canton. But they had put something on Facebook about they needed someone to clean their flower beds because the senior citizens that attend can't do it. So I was like, well, that's something Lori and I can do. So I volunteered us, and then I had to go tell Lori.
Poor Lori. She's got shoes for every occasion right now.
Yeah.
She's like
so
a horse.
we should be doing that, I think, next Friday.
Oh, cool.
I'll tell you what, you said you could talk all day long about village caregiving. I think you could talk all day about anything. I didn't realize you were such a great speaker. I can tell it sitting here. I mean, I already am planning to go back and listen to this just because I want to hear the answers you've given again. There's a lot of wisdom in there.
Yeah.
And some of it's wisdom and simplicity, which is the coolest thing. God.
To be humble.
Yeah.
I think I love the word humble.
Yeah.
And my dad says I always talk a lot because I live by myself.
Do you have brothers and sisters growing up?
I have one brother. He's older. I was actually just telling Chris a funny story because of my injury to my foot. And I actually called my brother. We are a jokester family. Like, we buy the gag gifts for Christmas, like who can get the best gift to somebody. And I called my brother the other day, like, hey, guy, can you remind Dad that you're the boy? Can you do something manly? Because I can't keep building this stuff with him.
What's the best gag you ever got off on someone?
I had a piano delivered to my brother's house.
A piano?
Wow.
Because he kept saying, like, I'm going to do lessons. And he would, like, and my brother is, like, this manly man. He was in the Marine Corps, and he's still, just real buff. And, yeah, he kept saying this. And then he'd be like, I didn't say that. And I'm like, no, you had it. I seen it. You posted. So my grandma was getting rid of her piano, and she was having a company come in. And I was like, Grandma, we're gonna send that to Matt's house. And she was like, and she doesn't know because unfortunately she's got beginning stages of dementia. So we had it delivered to Matt's house and had it set up. His girlfriend unlocked the door, so when he came home from work, there was the piano.
That's a great gift.
Delivered a whole piano to
And
this man's house.
you can't move it by yourself
that
because
thing's
it's
there
so
forever.
heavy.
It's part of the house now.
Well, that's true.
That's the best part. So actually, he just put the piano on Facebook Marketplace the other day.
Are you kidding?
He's getting ready to move. It was like 2-3 days ago. And I think my comment to him was like, what, buddy? Did nobody get you the piano lessons? I'll buy them for Christmas.
At first, I thought you meant you bought a piano just to prank him with.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
no,
that is
no.
going all the way.
All in.
Wow.
How often do you think you go up to the Hall of Fame for football? I mean, are you up there like every day, every other day? Is that...
This is embarrassing to say. I have never been.
You've never been?
I've been to the Hall of Fame. I've never been inside the Hall of Fame where
Then you've never
the hall.
been.
No, stop. I was at the Black College football game last year. I went. A friend of mine bought an entire suite, and it was an experience. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I actually joked, I think, with Lauren, and I was like, we need to tell Jeff he needs to switch the annual conference to August for the Hall of Fame game.
Look at that. We could just get a suite at the Hall of Fame game.
We won't move the annual meeting probably, but there is a fall. We do meetings in August, September. That'd be a great
They just
idea.
put a conference center in, and they put a dome. I took my
What?
parents.
Really?
Listen,
All right,
I
let's
was
do this.
on the field.
She's on the field. Never been in the building.
I took my parents. My dad decided he loved comedy, so I took my parents to the Kevin Hart. Yeah, don't take your parents to something
You took
like
mom
that.
and dad to Kevin Hart.
I did, like a couple months ago. Never again.
What
But
was it? Just too much for him?
yeah, well, try sitting next to your parents with something like that. It was, yeah.
I wouldn't. If my mom called me right now and was like, Aaron, did you watch that Kevin Hart special? I'd be like, absolutely not. And I've watched it probably twice. But I don't want.
I haven't seen it. It's just the profanity. What are you talking about? The subject matter kind
Yes,
of risque.
subject matter.
Oh yeah.
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 Gotcha.
So,
Well,
but
I've
yeah.
been on that field in
That's on the field.
Hall of Fame.
Playing.
I'm actually in the Hall of Fame. No, I just visited, and then that wasn't locked up. I just walked out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
I don't
still
think they
to this
care.
day walk out.
Really? Yeah, this has been like 20 years ago, probably.
But they have a Ferris wheel there now.
Oh, yeah, it's a carnival up there.
When's
During
the
the-
Hall of Fame game? I've been making a
It's
lot of
in
promises on this
August.
podcast
I
today.
Unbelievable
believe
promises.
it's in
If
August.
it's late August, I think this might be a thing that happens.
I don't think
Let me
it's
get you
late
some
August.
deets on this.
If you don't care, look that up for us real quick. Yeah.
I'm sort of like, a lot of podcasts have one guy that kind of is off camera, and that's me.
Absolutely. When I was first visiting, Canton, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. One was when you pull into town, in the downtown area, I believe it was, there was a sign that says Canton. I think it's like the verbiage was like Canton, it's about the arts or something about. What does the community of Canton mean by that? How?
So our office is about a block away from what's considered the arts district.
Yeah.
Canton is really big right now on revitalizing downtown Canton. So they have the Cultural Arts Center, which is kind of connected to the Canton Civic Center.
I see.
The Canton Civic Center is kind of a huge venue that individuals will do different events at. They used to house the Canton Charge, which was Cleveland's, I always mess it up. I don't know if it was their D League or G League basketball team for the Cavaliers, who's like next to be possibly pro. Is it called G or D? I don't know.
I think it's G.
G? Okay.
Used to be called that. I don't know anymore.
So like they house that there.
Stop
and then the Canton.
asking us these hard questions.
I know.
This
I'm like,
we need to
no.
get back to asking her hard questions. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, let's flip this back.
Yeah. Is life fair?
Depends on who you ask.
When he first went to Canton, someone had stopped him and said, the first thing you need to understand is Canton is all about the arts.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. In the downtown area, they are. But
Nobody
yeah.
knew.
Yeah. I've always wondered that. That was very early on.
Did you say that? How did you hear about village caregiving originally? Did we cover this?
No.
You didn't touch on it? Yeah, I didn't think so.
I think I had shared with Aaron, I wasn't happy in my current position, but I wasn't looking. I'm not a person that likes change. I'm just like a creature of habit.
Yeah.
And my daughter is an STNA, and she was going to school for nursing, and she just was on an afternoon shift, and they kept kind of fluctuating her between midnights and afternoons, and she was struggling. And I was like, well, why not look for another job? So I was online looking for her, and I'd put in STNA, and this would popped up, and I was like, that's odd. And I had read the description for the ED position, and I bypassed it. A couple days later, it was on again, and it was there. And then the third time I was on, I was like, that's the sign you've been asking for. And I honestly, when Aaron texted, I thought it was not a valid job. I was like, who texts for a position like this?
Yeah.
Village caregiving,
Yeah,
that's who.
Come to
This
find
guy.
out, you get used to people not answering unknown numbers.
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
So,
though. Wait, so it was like an Indeed job post or
Yes.
something, and so you...
I applied.
You applied, and he just texted
He
back.
texted.
I see
And
it,
then,
rather than going through the Indeed channel.
And then he called the next day and was like, had a conversation with him. He's like, hey, like, we're doing interviews. Can you do one tomorrow? And I was like, unfortunately, I'm going to be on the road all day. I was traveling for work. I was going to one of the prisons. And he was like, okay, well, we'll be in touch. And then I think the next time I talked to you, we were scheduling. He's like, yeah, we went ahead and put you on to the second interview. And I honestly hung up the phone with you like, fool, you could have called myself a fool. Like, you could have just missed out on a job if you didn't even know that was like the first interview. And you were like, no, I'm too busy. I'm driving. Like,
Yeah, no, it's you just had a great background. You obviously super pleasant. I remember our first conversations. I remember the first time that we met in that hotel lobby downtown. They were doing tours across the street. Do you remember that lady?
It was at the Canton First Ladies Museum.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like looking out into the 1800s through this window. And then we went and we looked at a couple of offices.
We did.
And that was real. Anytime you
experience.
go and look at random office spaces in a city you're not familiar with, some of my best village caregiving memories is going to these random office. In this case, it was like the 1967 AT&T office shut down one day. They just locked the doors. And the next time they unlocked them was when we walked into this office space. Like the ashtray still sitting on the table, the green desks all sitting there. I mean, this place it looked like time stood still. And we're like, I don't think this is the place for us. It was maybe like 10 floors high. We were basically going to be the only ones in this whole building. And when they took us out the back door, it was like into this super creepy like lot thing. And I'm like,
Where the trash can was, and you had to walk through that area to get to the parking lot. And I was like, Aaron, that would be the thing that sketched me out the most.
Yeah.
Like, would I make it to my vehicle safely?
I remember this now. I
Yeah.
remember this story. So then, how far away from that place are you now?
A block.
Just down the street,
Yeah.
But it was a drastically different space.
Yeah.
Huh?
Let me tell you how things work out for Tara Brady, okay?
Okay.
I text her about a job. She says, I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
I go ahead and put her into the next round, right? We go and we look at an office space, and it's a fine office space. It's a little office, you know. She tells me one day, we're kind of outgrowing this space. We're just going to move down the hall to a different space. I'm like, okay, that sounds nice. Same building, right?
Yeah.
I go there the other day. She opens the door, and we're in New York City all of a sudden. Like, I'm looking over Central Park in New York somehow. She has a corner office suite, maybe like office space of the year material. Canton has never looked more beautiful than it does from her office seat right now.
Super proud of it.
It is
gorgeous.
You don't happen to have a picture, do you?
No, I don't.
Text us one, and we'll have Austin.
We can
throw it on there. Yeah,
we can't.
We can't.
No, because if other offices see what is happening in Canton, there will be so much office envy that occurs. I went back and I'm looking at my space. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need a downtown space so I can see the skyline. And
You have a great office.
I have a great office.
You do.
He can see the whole corner of everything. It's beautiful. He's decorated it really nicely. Now, let me tell you who could use a better office. This old boy right here. I don't got a view of nothing. I sit it straight across the hall from Matt Walker, and we can yell at each other.
Yeah.
That's pretty. And we're the only people down there. You got to go through the kitchen to get to us.
The upstairs sewer line does pass through your closet.
If you use the bathroom upstairs, I know all about it. It's going to go whoosh. No, that was a good sound effect.
That wasn't
actually.
bad, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Pretty good. No, I'm saving you guys some effort there.
That's
on those
homemade.
effects. Whoosh. She goes right down over my head.
Yeah. It really is. She has a beautiful office space. Like, the Canton office is such a cool place. Pete's Diner is fantastic. It's always great to go there.
It is.
You know, Tara, you've been to our space. Have you ever been in my office?
I don't
all the way
believe
through
so.
the kitchen and stuff. Okay,
No,
well,
I didn't even know there was a kitchen.
it's tucked away in this one corner.
Okay.
But it's a super old. How old is that old house? Like 100 and some years old, right?
It's an 1800s house.
Yeah.
So you can hear through walls and things. Aaron used to be directly above me, and he could be on a Zoom call, and I can hear. I have so little like privacy, and
You hear everything.
not only could I hear that he was on a Zoom, because he's kind of muffled.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't muffled at all. I could follow along in the conversation and kind of get a laugh out of some of the moments. Like, I was in his office, basically.
Yeah.
Remember those good old
Oh,
days?
I remember those days. Yeah, you may have been part of Tara's interview process.
I remember whenever Tony Burge started, and he was he paces a lot when he takes phone calls, and
Yeah.
he was running the Quincy, Illinois office for a moment there before we had a director. Jennifer Blasing, shout out. And he'd pace, and he was really new to the company. I was like, how am I going to figure out how to politely go up there and tell him, please stop walking around? Like, there's no way I can deliver this where he's not going to be like, oh, God, the CEO just told me to sit down. Like, I'm going to look like a jerk on this one no matter what, but I can't do nothing.
You should have emailed Aaron.
Yeah.
God, you're right. He could have taken care of that.
Don't give him ideas.
I just went up there. I was like, dude, I promise I'm not like trying to be a jerk. Like, these floors are really thin. Then I worked up to it. I was like, do you mind not walking around so much? I felt so bad about it.
Now,
Anyways,
yeah,
I don't know
now
where
he
that came
army
from.
crawls into the office. It's we haven't seen him upright since then.
Poor Tony.
Jeff, you've been doing a lot of homework over there. What are you working on, buddy?
I was taking some notes, follow up,
Okay.
journalistic stuff.
Yeah. Usually you bring some stuff with you. Did you bring anything?
I got
today?
a few little trinkets. Let's see where we're at on the old timer. I don't know when we started. We're up about a half hour or so.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to say one thing, though, because your office is so good, and I mean that from a compliance standpoint, the growth, it's like Office of the Year category. We'll take that vote later on. You're going to get some votes, would be my suspicion. So huge credit to you.
Thank you.
And in the midst of doing all this stuff, I don't recall ever hearing about any problems. It doesn't, am I?
You hit him
Correct.
well. Good job.
Yeah, well, no. Kristen is the regional vice president of Ohio there, and she always has glowing things to say. It's just everybody that works here does a great job.
They do.
So, you're a real top of the heap,
Thank you.
performer. So that needs said. And I like the way you run your office. And I can tell you why. It's an office, like your style is sort of after my own heart, because it the stories that I do recall over those 2 years are kind of like guerrilla warfare solved problems. So I remember one time you had a client way out, I don't know, hours plus away, and you and maybe Lori's with you, I don't know, hop in the car, drive out, start going in grocery stores, gas stations, and putting stuff on cork boards like it's
We did.
1980s
We
or something,
did.
right?
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I did. And like Matt and Andrew would make fun of me and stuff. So before we were trying to get into Point Pleasant, a little town, you know where Point
Yeah.
Pleasant's at,
Yeah.
of course. It's only about 45 minutes from the office. And so we couldn't get any caregivers up there. Well, we run up there. I start putting signs in the ground. They're just cracking up. And I didn't even say what the job was for. It just said something like, I don't remember, $12 an hour. This is a long time ago. $12 an hour. Call this number. Hiring. And we got some of the most fascinating calls of all time. But my theory was, hey, look, okay, let's say the phone rings 50 times from that sign up there on Route 2. 47 of them may not work out, but you get 3. It's just a
Absolutely.
numbers game. Just go out there and do stuff.
Yeah.
And I see that spirit in you guys of like, think outside the box. Let's just say yes and then figure it out. And I really like that. And I think contributes to a lot of success. Okay, now you want to get into some. Okay, check this out. I've got a list of 85 questions.
We're going to get through all these.
This
Guys, charge the batteries.
Yeah, this podcast is going to be 6.5 hours long.
None of these are yes and no either.
Great.
We need real details.
I haven't even read them. I was thinking
He's like,
about
I just
what-
printed them off somewhere.
I did.
did?
I said,
Okay.
what could I, what would be some good questions to ask? And I was like, why am I reinventing this wheel?
Yeah.
I just go on the old World Wide Net Web, pull them off of there. So if you Google like questions to ask on a podcast, you're probably one of the first links. There'll be these 85 questions. I'll bet you.
Wow.
Anyway, pick a number 1 through 85.
77.
I thought you was going to say 17. I thought this is crazy that we had the same number. I have no idea why.
Wow.
We were almost there.
Do you have any gear recommendations?
Are you serious?
Number 77. GEAR gear. Do you
Yeah.
have any gear recommendations?
Yeah. You were just telling me the other day about some gear that you purchased at Cabela's.
Yeah. Like my fishing waders. Oh, I did just buy fishing waders for my dad.
Oh.
All right, let's recommend it. Let's tell us a little bit about these waders.
I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
where'd you get them at?
Dick's Sporting Goods
Okay.
up at the mall.
Good quality rubber.
I hope.
Yeah. Did he seem happy? Does he know he's getting them?
No, he doesn't know he's getting them because my parents are they're actually today. They're signing on a new home today. They just purchased a home, 20
Congratulations.
acres. They have it's a 5-acre pond. So
Big deal.
he says it's his retirement home, but I was like, I know he will be in that pond
Yeah.
one way or another. So I got him some new waders, right?
All right, there you go. Okay.
I'll let you know if
not
they're
a whole
good
lot
or
of
not.
detail there. I'm going to be
That's
honest.
okay.
I'm not even sure you bought these.
I did. They're
I'm
brown.
joking. They're brown and they weighed.
Yeah.
Okay, pick another one. That was a weird question.
Let's go with
How does that make the list of
17.
85 things?
Yeah.
I'm already getting critical of this list.
She
Sorry.
said 17.
We're going to go with
That's
17.
page 2, buddy.
17. Okay.
Yeah, that's page 2. This is a hot one here.
What was the last thing you searched for on Spotify?
Do you use it like a
I
music?
don't use Spotify.
Do you use it like a music streaming service, like Amazon or Amazon Music, Apple Music?
I have Apple Music.
What are you searching for on there?
Listen,
No, go ahead and say it. There's no shame here.
I love Tracy Chapman. The Fast Car by Tracy
Oh, yeah.
Chapman.
Thank you. I've already been on a rant about this, about how the remake that wins
It's
Song
not
of the
as
Year
good.
is preposterous. Thank you. It's not as good, and it's a cover. Can't win Song of the Year. Tracy Chapman already perfected the song the first time. Doesn't need remade.
Yeah. And then my brother had just turned me on to another artist, Teddy Love, I believe is his name.
You guys familiar?
Teddy Love.
Teddy
yeah,
Love.
he has
Now we're getting some Rex on Spotify. Here we
one
go.
hit song that he kind of looks like Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
But his voice is so soulful.
Teddy.
Lori will tell you, like in the office, I listen to everything on my phone that just saved in my iTunes. That I might be listening to rap, and then it's country, and then it's R&B, and it's just kind of rock and roll. And she was kind of like, and then Meatloaf will pop on, and she's like, "You're all over the place." I love music. I don't turn the TV on 90% of the time at home. My music's on.
Is this it?
What is it?
Teddy Love?
No,
Dance with you?
no.
Okay.
I wouldn't know the name of the song if I seen it.
I better mute you this. We're going to get some kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Profanity.
gonna have to. This is like Kevin Hart's special. We can't listen to this.
This is what I do in my spare time now. No.
You could just do the twist and shout with that.
You're like, this is what you listen to, Tara? Okay. It is
We're going to
soulful.
the sock hop.
See, and I kept my phone away.
Do you think
Nice.
Do you think
Yeah,
it's
we're all
LUV?
moving in here. We got the wiggles all of a sudden.
No, it's Teddy. Oh my God, I gave you the wrong name.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm saving that.
I don't even know if I have the right name. Look at it.
Yeah, this is gonna be it.
It's a song by Harpo.
I gave you the wrong
We may have to pay some royalties now.
That's it. But
Yeah.
what's the name of the song?
We just promoted
Lose
it, right?
control.
That's it.
Okay.
I gave you the wrong name.
Yeah, we have it now.
It's Teddy Swims.
I saw that was the first thing that came when I typed Teddy.
Something's got a hold on me lately.
Isn't that good?
Oh, I don't know myself anymore.
It's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 more seconds we'd have to pay for it. So
Sorry about that, Jeff.
Hey, you led me to the song Teddy Love by Harpo. I'm not hearing that any other way.
No.
Sam's over here. We got the boogie shoes on.
yeah.
What do you think we should do now?
I don't know.
Dance?
What do you
I
Well,
put some things in the fishbowl. Let's bring it back so you can see the
Yeah, we
graphic
have
if
not.
nothing else.
yeah.
No, you haven't.
Nothing else.
I don't know. Well, that's probably all we're going to get good out of this
Let's see
fishbowl.
here. Let's see what we've got here. Tara, let me ask you a question. Man, we haven't said that for
You ever seen? I know. Have you ever seen the fishbowl segment?
I watch you guys.
have?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Then you know how ridiculous this is about to be.
You have animals, right?
I do.
Yeah, dogs.
I have 2 dogs.
2 dogs. What kind of dogs are they?
I have an Old English sheepdog
Yeah.
and a German Shepherd.
Wow. Okay. So
What's
really,
their names?
Miss Lila is the sheepdog. They're both, I adopted, rescued both of them. So Miss Lila is the sheepdog and Jax is the German Shepherd. I call him Wacky Jackie.
Wacky
Because
Jackie
he
and-
is just all over the place.
2 rescue dogs. I'm convinced you might be the best person I've ever
Oh,
met.
it's,
I know.
yeah, I just am constantly trying to. We're trying to get her into sainthood. When you're at the house in the evenings, you don't have the TV on because you don't watch
No,
TV.
I don't.
And you have a little bit of Jelly Roll's brother playing in the background. Do you ever hear those dogs go oof emotionally? Do you believe that a dog or a cat can say oof emotionally?
Yeah.
You
don't
can't.
ever
Like they have some
hear 'em
thoughts
when
and
they
they're like
they're
oof.
laying there and then you hear it just like oof.
That's their
Just
actual
like-
emotion too. Like they're like, it's been a long, hard day.
Yeah.
They're tired, just like,
Yeah.
How'd that cat
and they're
get away
kind of
from her?
worn out, just like
Yeah.
a person.
Yeah, I honestly do. My listen from being rescue dogs, especially Jax, my German Shepherd, which German Shepherds are already high anxiety. His is through the roof. Like he paces. He should be on medication, but I can't do that to a dog.
Yeah.
Like when people come over, he don't let no one is allowed around him. Like he doesn't want to be around anybody. If they're anywhere near me, like he has to sit in front of me. Like he's very protective.
Yeah.
But you can see like with him when he finally like no one's there and he lays down and you can hear sometimes that like the weight of the world is gone for a minute.
Yeah.
And I can fully relax. So,
Yeah.
Our dog does this all the time.
oh really?
I didn't know if this was a thing that anybody else.
Yeah.
Our dog is a weird dog. It doesn't even act like a dog. It's a Bernie Doodle named Penny, and she's so just needy and pouty and gripes. If we're keeping her awake, you'll hear her like down from on the floor. We can't out of sight. Just go. I'm not joking around. Could you keep it down, please? One time, now this is the craziest thing I ever saw. Tell me if you ever seen this move. That dog stomped out of our bedroom. I wouldn't give her any pepperoni, and she got upset about it and actually made it a show. Like put her feet down hard, and I saw it. And Sarah and I just both looked at each other with our mouths open, like, did we just see what we think we saw? It went.
Yeah, you're living in her
Just
house.
stomped out.
It's not good.
You ever seen a dog do that?
No.
No.
If it's like a child, you should have went out of the room after him. Why don't you stomp in front of me?
Right.
You know,
Just wore her out.
Ugh.
Read her the riot act.
Yeah. Well,
Taking the pepperoni with you and took a bite in front of her again.
I'm not supposed to give her any pepperoni, really. She gets the pancreatitis, but I sneak her a lot of pepperoni anyway. Because if you give her a little bit, it's okay.
just a little bit won't hurt.
Nah.
Nah.
When she gets the pancreatitis, she poops all over the house.
That's not good.
It's awful. I got the worst story about this of all time.
Well, have they ever told you guys to give her like pumpkin?
Pumpkin? I haven't heard that one.
So Miss Lila, she has digestive issues, and so when I got her, she was on a probiotic, so she requires like a special food. I'm like, great. But
Yeah.
so she will have different issues with her stomach, and my vet at the time, amazing old school country vet, he said buy pumpkin in a can. So if she gets constipated, it'll help them go. But then if she has loose stools, because she has like anxiety on the days she goes to the groomers, if I give her pumpkin, then it'll help balance out her stomach. But pumpkin in a can, and it works amazing.
Life hack.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
That's
And
pretty
then you
good.
Make a little pumpkin pie with it. You can do both of those things.
You always have to take it to an extreme.
Yeah. Well, not with that, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if you get two, like I say, it's 2 for $2 at Kroger or something. You one for the dog, one for the pie. I wouldn't recommend
If
it.
my dog eats any fatty meat, it's going to turn into a diarrhea situation.
That's
It's a
Lila.
pumpkin. I need pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
It gets the gastritis and it gets the pancreatitis.
It's amazing.
One
It's
time,
amazing.
this is what I was going to tell you a
Oh,
second
this
ago.
is awful.
Oh, he knows this story.
Yeah.
Listen to what happened. She had the absolute worst. All day, Sarah and I are at work, like liquid diarrhea, right? I better be careful telling this. Nobody's ever going to want to come to my house again. Okay, the Roomba comes out to start to vacuum, and it wasn't one of the poop sensing ones yet. And it put a perfectly thin layer of diarrhea all over the hardwood of the entire
house.
living room house that it went over. And we came home like, oh my. We cleaned and we cleaned and we cleaned, and we had Stanley Steamer come out and clean again, and then like freaking somebody else. I mean, it was a nightmare. And then, by God, you can bet we threw that out and got a poop sensing Roomba.
Yeah.
Anyway, we spent a lot too much time talking about dog poop on
I
podcasts.
don't think so.
today.
No, I don't think so. Some of the viewers say not enough time has been dedicated to that topic. That's some of the feedback that we've received.
Yeah.
Well,
Penny's a good dog overall. Though.
yeah. Sarah, I had nothing to do with this if you're
I know.
watching.
I had to get that in. See how I had to slip that in?
I had
That
nothing.
dog is her dog. I mean, it kind of likes me, but it's really attached to her, and that's her person.
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's good.
We can wrap up. I'm just over here. Now I'm just talking about nonsense.
Well, Tara, we really appreciate you making the trip in. Appreciate everything that you're doing in Canton. Couldn't be more proud of what you've done there, what you're doing there. We're excited for this next chapter as you add this clinical piece in. And I think there's a strong chance that we see you on stage multiple times at the annual conference for.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, I think the odds are in your favor. So we'll
It's a
see what
singing
happens.
performance.
Yeah,
No. We didn't say that.
yeah. She's doing Jelly Roll's latest hit. So, all right. Well, we always end with a cheers. So
I think I know what we play ourselves out to today.
He's going to do this.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Cheers. You have to dance real dorky, too.
Oh yeah.